Hi, welcome to our class today. Today we're going to take a look at the hands and just pain in the hands and what poses we can do to practice and to strengthen the hands and to relieve the pain. So generally, when you start a new activity and you start doing different repetitive activities like painting or painting a mural or a wall, with your hand, if there's a weakness somewhere in the shoulder or the arm or in the back or in the chest, some tightness, you might start seeing that as pain in the hand, or maybe there's actually an injury to your hand. So these things that I can show you, I'll start out and show you things that you can do without any props, and you can do them anywhere. They're very easy and they're extremely effective. So they're going to be effective if you do them every day, a little bit every day. And then there's other things that you can do to start strengthening and really helping work those wrists and those hands to reduce the pain. So hopefully you join me today for our live class. And if not, there will be a recording of this for you to have as a reference and check back and do the workout or incorporate pieces of this workout into your practice. So let's get started. Just find a comfortable spot and sit down, and we'll take a moment. Take a deep breath. Okay, and let's get started with the basics. So what I found to be one of the most effective ways to start strengthening my hands is at the wall. So I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So you just need a nice wall. If you have a mat, work on your mat. And what we're going to start doing is doing 1 minute increments of this exercise. So I'm going to put my hands in front of me, and they're going to be at the same height of my shoulder. And I can do this while waiting in line. You can do this while just before you start your job that uses your hands, or you can do this as a break that you take, every 30 minutes you take a break and you do 5 minutes of this exercise. So this is a really good one. So just standing in the wall like this, if this already gives you a stretch, that's wonderful. But standing in the wall like this may seem like nothing, but if you step back a little bit, so step back, make sure that your hands are not above your shoulders or below, but they're just at the same line of your shoulders here, and hold each of these for 1 minute. Okay, so we will hold them for about 30 seconds, but hold it for a minute, and slowly you're going to increase these to, you can increase them to anywhere from 1 to 10 minutes if you'd like. And you can step back a little more and breathe. And start creating this integrity in the arm. So making a fist with the arm, meaning you hug the muscle to the bone. So if you could make a fist with your arm, with the muscles in your arm, you make a fist. Okay, once your minute has passed, we're going to get the hands and you're going to turn the fingers out. So again, you're still at the height of your shoulder, but you're turning the fingers out here. And if this is too much, you can step closer to the wall. So turn the fingers out and breathe and press the palm into the wall, and then start noticing, do your fingers curl in, or can you really think about extending each finger so that they're each super long and in contact with the wall. So make sure that you lengthen the fingers and then release the fingers, and then lengthen the fingers and release. And then same thing, after you've finished with this, you can come and stand in Tadasana for a moment, release your arms, and then I'm going to point the fingers towards one another. And again, extending the fingers out here. So they're not just bending, they're straight and they're lengthening. So you want to make these fingers longer, and you spend another minute here. And here, make sure that you're not arching or, bending forward. You're just keeping your pelvis tucked in a straight line there. Okay, and once you're finished with your minute here, we're going to bring the fingers pointing down. And here's where you see one hand maybe twisting out to the side. So make sure that you keep the fingers pointing down here. So palms of the hands to the wall, and then lengthen the fingers, and you'll start feeling a little bit more work on your wrists. So lengthen the fingers means straighten these fingers so that they are just not just resting in the wall and maybe bending, but they're straight. You're straightening them as best you can, and you straighten and you're lengthening them towards the floor here in this case. Okay, and when you're finished, just step forward and stand in Tadasana. So I want you to go ahead and go into a downward dog here. If you're just doing this as a break and you're doing this exercise with these 3 options, you can just do that and then go back to your work. If you are able to do a downward dog, go ahead and do the downward dog. So when you place your fingers on your mat, you're going to lengthen each finger, and you're going to notice the amount of pressure that you're putting on each finger, and you want to increase the pressure on this index finger here. So place your fingers and your hands on the mat, and then lengthen the hands and come up to a downward dog. Okay, and then you can see when you start coming in downward dog to upward dog, you can see how this works the hands and the wrists. So we'll do maybe 5 of these. All right. Okay. And you can rest in child's pose a little bit. Okay. So now we're going to add a little bit more to this stretch. So come to the wall here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to raise the palm of my hand. So raise the palm and then lower. So raise the heel of the hand and see which fingers are really tight and won't come back. So palms here, and then raise the palm and make sure that each finger is touching the wall. And you can do the palm lifts here, where you're lifting the heel of the hand and lift it about 5 to 10 times. Okay, and then we're going to do this again with the fingers pointing down and lift the heel of the palm. And notice which fingers are resisting, which fingers have a lot of tension, and which fingers are very flexible and have no problems with this. So here again, lengthening the fingers. Okay, so working all the way to the shoulder here. So that's a really great one. Okay, so we're going to add a new dimension to this. So if you have a chair, you can use a chair. If not, you can just repeat what we did in the wall. So here, I turn the chair around. So I have this nice little ramp here. Okay. Okay, I'm placing my chair here against the wall. I'm going to work on the chair, and I'll bring the computer closer so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. All right, here we go. So we're going to essentially, so here on this, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start out with our hands, fingers pointing up, And you can start here where you're just like this with this kind of sitting position, or you can come up a little bit more on your knees, and then you can start feeling a little bit more work on the hands there, and you can come up to your downward dog with your hands on this ramp. Like this. Okay, so second, we're going to bring the fingers and we're going to point them out here. Okay, and you can hold the sides of the chair like this. And come up to your downward dog. And come down. So any of the three levels, the middle or downward dog, and we'll continue with the rotation, and then we bring the fingers pointing towards one another in the chair in the slanted position. And here, if this is enough, work and breathe here. Bring it up to this mid-level position, and you can breathe here. And when you're ready, come up to downward dog with the fingers pointing towards each other. And you can time each position at about a minute to 3 minutes each. And then we do the last one where we point the fingers down. So here what happens is these hands start rotating out like this. So make sure that, here they're a little bit, they have this edge of the chair. So just make sure that you find a way to secure the pinky so that your hand doesn't start turning. So maybe this is enough. So breathe here for a few breaths. All right, and once this is, no pain, no sharp pain, there might be some tightness and some discomfort, but no pain. You start feeling it on the shoulders a little bit. And then finally come into a downward dog here, really pressing the heel of the hand into the chair and making sure that the hand isn't moving. And breathe there. And then come down. Okay, and then same thing, we'll bring the hand here to the chair and we'll lift the heels of the palm. Noticing which finger, if you notice my little finger here has a hard time with, I don't know if you can see, so my little finger, the knuckle lifts away from the chair and it wants to come out to the side like this. So I bring it back, I lengthen the finger, so each finger is lengthened, and I keep the knuckle on the seat of the chair and I lift the heel of the palm. So I'm working on each finger individually for this one, making sure that the little knuckles stay in contact with the chair, and then the palm of the hand lifts. So I'm not lifting like this, I am just lifting the palm. Okay, so lift the palm and come into your downward dog and see which hand has a bigger weakness. Okay, come back down. So this is doing this with the chair, and then refrain from shaking the hands like this. It's not a good idea to do when working on the hands. Okay, and go ahead and do your downward dog again. So maybe a cycle of downward dog and upper dog, just to start adding a little bit of strength as well to the shoulders, the arms, elbows, wrists, and the hands. So here, what we want to stress is lengthen the fingers. So press the knuckles. I'm calling these the knuckles, but press the knuckles of the hands into the mat. Lengthen the fingers towards the wall. Put a little bit more pressure on your index finger and your thumb. So press those into the mat, lengthen your fingers. Okay. And narrow wrists, wide palms, narrow wrists, long fingers. And we'll do a few of these. Okay. All right. And so the last set of these that we're going to do, and you can pick all three or just one, whichever one works best for you, but definitely start out with the one where you're standing on the wall, is I like to work with blocks. If you have pieces of wood that are the same size, you can use that, or books. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a block, but just the same size so that you're not having one shoulder off, level. So place these on a wall. If you don't have a little ledge like this, you can add, you can put a little rolled up mat underneath these or something sturdy. Okay, so same thing. So what we'll do is fingers up, and you can do them here, you can do them here, and then finish off with a downward dog here, lengthening the fingers, pressing the heels of the hand into the blocks. Okay, and retime those so that you spend a little bit of time breathing, checking where the pain is, and starting to figure out where is the source of the pain that's hurting your hand. Is it the shoulder? Is it the wrist? The wrist or the elbow or the fingers. Okay, then hands pointed out. So this is my favorite. I think it's a great one to make it into your morning routine. Maybe keep those in your bedroom right when you wake up. You can just do this set of 3 workout with your hands. Okay, so hands out. And then we have hands, fingers facing each other. Okay, so press the palms of the hand, the heels of the hand into the block, and then work yourself up to downward dog. And then just make sure those blocks are shoulder width apart. Okay, and the last one, which often is the most challenging, you put the fingers facing down here. And with the block is nice because you can use this edge of the block to hook your pinky in there so that the hand doesn't start spinning out to the side when you're doing this. So hook the pinky to the sides of the block and go into downward dog here, really pressing the heel of the hand into the block and breathing it out. It's an intense stretch of the wrists, the forearms. So make sure that you don't hold your breath while you're doing it. And then we can work on our palm lift. So you can use a block here for the hands. Okay, and lift the palm of the hand. So here, my right side is my weaker side here. So this little pinky definitely doesn't want to bend. So knuckles touching the mat. Okay, and then lifting the palms. Okay, and then we're going to do little palm lifts. So starting out here, we lift the palm and lower, and lift and lower, just finding where you have that weakness. And then maybe you can do this a little bit harder with one leg. Okay. And let's see if I can do it with both legs. So, lift and then bring it down. And one day you can lift with both hands at the same time, but for now, lift, hold, bring it down. All right. Okay, so that is a nice way to start developing the hands, strengthening the hands in a more gentle way. So we'll move on to a little bit more of strengthening, and then I'll show you, if we have time, how to do some mudras to work the fingers. Okay. All right, so the first part of strengthening that I really liked was just to hang in the back of the door. So you can do this, before you brush your teeth, wherever. But it's a nice way to start strengthening your hands. So you can use a door, or if you have a bar, you can use a bar. I like the door because it helps keep your body straight on the door. Show you what that looks like. So, okay, you have a regular door here. Let's find the light. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you can use a little towel on top of the door, or just the way it is. If you are going to use this side of the door, put a little block so that the door doesn't close into your hand. And what I do is I bring my hands up around the door like this. So bring the hands here and then hang. All right, so you're hanging from the hands. And here you can allow the armpits to overstretch, or you can keep it nice and intact. So don't allow it to just open and overstretch. So hang on the door like that. Okay. So that's the hanging on the door. So just hands behind you and hang. So at first you can maybe tolerate a few seconds, and then with time you can do a little longer time hang. And I'll show you how to do that on a bar also. Okay. So these I have. If you have a push-up bar, you're going to want to make sure that your hand is just like it is in a door, right? So across like this, and then you're hanging, and you hang from the bar, strengthening the hands. Okay. So that's okay. So then you can start feeling the length that you're getting in the wrists and the hands. If this is increasing the pain, then do exercises that don't have that kind of effect on your hand. I'm trying to maybe show you a wide variety of things that you can do. Sometimes when you introduce something new, there's going to be a little bit of pain, a little bit of strain, but eventually you start distinguishing what's actually harming and what's just changing the muscles and strengthening them, which causes some discomfort, and then actually making it better. So slowly start discovering that. Okay, the next thing that I'll show you is using this rope wall. So if you don't have a rope wall, there's a really easy way of doing one yourself. So the way I do it is I have a block, and please make sure that the straps that you use will hold your weight. So you have a block here with a strap. I place the strap around the block, and then onto that strap, I add my rope that I want to use. And again, I'll show you my door. So I grab this block, I put it around the door, close the door, and then make sure you lock it. And then you have a strap here that you can use. Okay, so this is a way of making your own. Okay. So for now, I'll use the ones on the rope wall. So we'll start out here, strengthening the hands and the fingers, or hold on to the strap, and you walk forward and you just hang on the strap. And then you start walking back and walking back, and you're holding the strap. So this will really be a strong workout on your shoulders and your hands. And you can, you can come forward on an upward dog like this and come into your downward dog, hanging on the strap. Look at this. Okay, and as your hand strength improves, you can walk up the wall, and you can do it on the wall here. Okay. So this is a pretty intense one, but if you do it often, a few times a day, and then you increase that, you can really improve the strength in your hands using the strap like that. Okay, so if you want to give it a try and use a strap and a block on your door, let me know how that works. Just one thing that I would say is make sure that you have a loop to work with the hands, and don't hold on to where the buckle is. Make sure the buckle is away from your hand and you have a loop, not just one strap hanging, so that you can hold on and strengthen your fingers like this. Okay, so we'll move on now to a little bit more of the hand strengthening exercises. And for this, you can use 2 chairs, or you can use your coffee table. Or if you have a little bench, you can use that too. So I'll show you how that works. Get a little bench here. Okay. And we're going to use the bench and bring the hands back like this. And just get a little bit of stretch in the hands. So you can lay in your coffee table every day and stretch the hand, and then you can turn it around and stretch the hand here. And after a few seconds here, you lift the palm. So lift the palm, lower the palm. Lift and lower. Okay, and then turn the hand back here, so there it's pointing towards your feet, and lift the palm. Lower, and this is really a nice strengthening exercise for your neck as well. But if it's too difficult on the neck, after a few tries, you can definitely support it with a chair. So bring the chair around. And you can put a blanket here. And you can support your head on the chair, as you stretch your hands. Okay. So I hope that helps. I have maybe a few minutes when we can talk about different mudras that you can do with your hands to work your fingers. These are, of course, more subtle than these exercises for the hands, but they work amazingly. So I'll show you some of these. Okay, so we can go over a few of these mudras. All right, so I have my hands and my fingers here, and the first one that we're going to do is this Jnana mudra. So what I have is my fingers are extended, and I try to create this best circle as I can, and then I bring my thumb and my index finger together here like this. The thumb is sticking out a little bit more than the finger because this is dominant. So the thumb is pushing onto that finger, maybe the divine pushing the ego, for the symbolism part. But so you're pushing the finger, making it into a circle. If you have, sometimes if you have a little circular device that you can put your fingers in, if you just have a hard time creating that circle, sometimes the fingers are tight or there's an injury, so you want to keep that. You can put a little towel wrapped around there also, and these fingers are straight. So sometimes I can place my hand on the floor here, straighten these fingers, and make sure that I have my circle. Okay. So for these mudras, I want to think about wide palms. So I'm widening both of these mounds of my palm and widening them apart, so I don't have this. So mudra 1, and these you can do anytime. You can do while sitting on the bus, or if you are walking, you can hold a mudra and you can pick one a week. And every time you go on a walk, you walk and you hold your mudra and you press the fingers together and you try to see how much tension in your arm, or if you're just sitting, where you can sit with your mudra. You can practice yoga with, your different poses, holding these mudras. And so they're really great for your hands. So we'll go through them. So this is the first, the Jnana mudra. And then we have this earth mudra or Prithvi. And Prithvi is like this. Again, we bring the ring finger to the thumb, making this as round as possible. And then all of these fingers are straight. So you can practice this for your hand. So if this would be week 2, you could practice the earth mudra and breathe. And when you're practicing these, make sure that you keep the eyes, the ears, the throat, and the tongue soft without any tension. So there is the earth mudra. And then we come to the water mudra, to Prithvi. No, I'm sorry, this is Varuna. First we had earth mudra, Prithvi, and then we have Varuna, the water element. And again, trying to keep this as round as possible, and then widening the palms of, these mounds of the palm, and keeping the fingers straight. So lifting the chest, extending the fingers out, and seeing where you start accumulating tension by holding this mudra. Is it in the eyes, the head, the throat, the stomach? And extend the fingers out. And if you give yourself a few minutes to do this, then you really will see that you start feeling these different tensions, and then you breathe through them. Make sure you don't hold your breath. So, all right, so then the third one that we'll work on is the Agni, or the fire. This is, here in your stomach, and you just press this ring finger down so that the finger comes over to the mound of the thumb here. And same idea, you want to spread the mounds of the palm. You want to keep the fingers nice and straight, holding your Agni mudra. This helps the sense of sight. And again, holding these mudras, releasing tension in the eyes, the ears, the throat, the tongue, the stomach. First, we tighten everything together, and eventually you start learning how to separate, the head from the hand, or the tongue from the hand. Okay, and then we can work on the next one, which is Vayu. So you bring the index finger, this finger, you bring it down, and like this. My hands are also a work in progress. This is not perfect, but the idea is to bend this finger down, and it presses a special point here when your hand is flexible enough. And then you bring the thumb down and extend the finger. So this idea of lengthening the fingers, widening the palms. Vayu informs a sense of touch. It's a chakra of the heart. So this is a really nice mudra to hold here. And here we're not creating the circle, we're just really pressing down on that finger, releasing any tension in the eyes, the ears, the throat. This is a very great one. Vayu. And for our last mudra we're going to do is the shunya. Shunya works really well for your ears, for hearing, sound. And you just bring this finger, the middle finger, down, press it down. And again, these fingers, you can start to see, okay, there's a little bit of tightness and weakness here, and so we bring, eventually they'll come down. We lengthen the fingers, widen the palms, bring the middle finger down, and we practice shunya. Shunya. So all fingers should align there with the pinky, like that. So shunya. So if you can take notes of these mudras and each week practice one on times where you're just holding your hands and waiting, or you can just be holding a mudra and working on the fingers, working on these tensions, releasing the eyes, the ears, and the throat, the stomach, and working your fingers, right? There's a physical benefit, and then there's other more subtle benefits to these practices too. So after, you can practice the mudras with any pose. So after this practice, you can hold a restorative pose to really help reduce any tension in the arms. And so I'll show you in the hands. This one is very effective, and you can do this one after the practice, or you can do it, as a restorative practice that you do on its own for 5-10 minutes. I'll show you how it's set up. Okay, so for this one, I like to have a wall, and I definitely like to have a belt handy because otherwise my arms come away from each other. It's nice to work with some weights. So if you have weights of the same weight, that would be nice. I'll put these on each side. And then I'll have blocks handy in case my hand does not reach the floor. I want to be able to support that hand. So you can do this without any props, or you can use props to make the pose more supportive and a little bit more, a little stronger. So I'm going to have a few options. I can do this pose with my legs up the wall, or I can, if that's too much on my hamstrings, I can have my legs straight. Meaning straight, like this. I'm going to show it to you with the legs on the wall. Okay. Bring the legs up the wall. And I'm going to have these handy in case I need them. And for my belt, I want to, just going to show you. Okay, so the belt, make a loop, and I'm going to put that belt behind me, make sure I have about, a finger or a hand's, an arm's width here. So I'm going to put this belt like this around my arms, making sure that the buckle is not hitting anywhere around my arm. Okay, so that's how I do this. I'm going to come down here, come against the wall. I'm going to bring my hands, palms facing each other here. And then I'm going to start bringing the palms down towards the floor. Okay, and if the palms are not reaching the floor, I can choose to support them, right? Or even more blocks here if I need them. And I would put a timer for 5-10 minutes and I would stay here. All right, if I want to work a little bit more strongly, I can grab some weights. And this is very important. I can use the weights on my hands if they reach the floor. If they do not reach the floor, if my hand is here and I want to work with weights, I have to support it. So support it on the block and then add the weight to the hand. Okay, but if you're not using any support and your hands are here, that's fine. However, if you want to use weights, then support it. Or if you just want to support the hand because it feels better, then go ahead and support the hand also. So if I come all the way to the floor, I place these bags, or I can have someone do it for me. It's very nice when someone places the bag. Make sure that the elbows are bent at a 90-degree angle. So come at a 90-degree angle here, so I'm not close to the shoulder, too close to the wall. I'm at a 90-degree angle, and I can come out here, and I can use the time that I'm here in the pose to start releasing the eyes, the ears, and the throat and start exploring what that means. So I feel the support, the weights on my hand. I start releasing any tension in my throat, in my chest, in my belly. So I inhale, and as I exhale, I release a little bit more. I open my chest a little bit more. I release my hands more completely into the floor. I notice that if I'm fighting these weights, if I'm trying to lift the weights, and I allow my hand to receive the weight of the bag. So I receive the weight of the bag and I learn that softness and I teach it to my eyes, to my ears, and to my throat. And I start receiving the rotation in my shoulder, opening in my chest. And I make sure that my tongue is not stuck to the roof of my mouth. So I release the tongue, the eyes, the ears, and the throat. And then take one more deep breath and remove the weights. And then inhale, exhale, bring the palms back so that they're facing each other. And you can bend the legs, roll to the right, and come out, and release the belt. All right, so I hope that these work on the hands help you get some ideas and incorporate some of these things into your practice or into your daily schedule at work, where you can at least use a wall to start strengthening, doing it every half hour, every hour, depending on how much pain. You can bring blocks and even do the ones on the floor. If you can build yourself your own yoga rope and just hang from the back of a door every day, building that strength on the fingers. When you have a little extra time or when you remember, practice a mudra while traveling, not while driving, but while traveling as a passenger or going for a walk. Hold one of these mudras, and even better if you have time to sit, breathe, release the eyes, the ears, the throat, the stomach, and hold a mudra. Then you can really start discovering what tensions are coming into your shoulder, how the pain is working in your fingers, and then you can really start learning from the pain and strengthening and healing your hands. So I hope this helps. Leave me any comments if you have questions. Thank you for watching. See you next Monday.